Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. ChatGPT versus Google AI versus Grok versus me. I have some expertise in career coaching, piano accompanying, and rose hybridizing. For each of those, I will read to you what I think are the most important differentiators between good and great ones, and then ask ChatGPT, Google AI, and Grok to do the same. I have answered each question without first having looked at the AI answers to avoid being affected by them. First, what are key differentiators between good and great career coaches? My response: you must know a wide range of career options, supplemented by AI searches. Case by case, wisely decide how direct to be. Case by case, wisely decide when to facilitate the client's generating ideas versus your suggesting them. Wisely decide how much, if at all, to focus on a person's past and current trauma rather than simply identifying baby steps forward. Wisely decide how much to address factors that may indirectly affect career issues, for example, relationships, physical or mental health. Wisely decide the pace of sessions. In deciding whether to make a suggestion, have a good sense of the likelihood of implementation and benefit. Okay, so ChatGPT's response to the question, what differentiates a great coach from a good coach? It says the great coach helps you see patterns in your career choices, strengths, and blind spots so you can make better decisions repeatedly. Litmus test: do you leave a session with just a checklist or with a clearer internal compass? Asks questions to make you rethink assumptions, not just what do you want to do, but why does this option feel safer and what might that be protecting you from? Notices your recurring themes, how you talk about risk, authority, money, fulfillment, and adapts everything to you. They remember what you said 3 sessions ago and connects it to what you're struggling with now. Is willing to make you uncomfortable, kindly but firmly. They call out avoidance, push back on convenient narratives, hold you accountable to actions you said mattered. Builds decision-making confidence, career resilience, the ability to navigate uncertainty without panic. The goal is not dependence, it's independence. Treats coaching as a partnership. Your life, your context, your values. They don't impose a version of success. They help you define one you can actually sustain. Makes you understand and tells you the truth, even when it risks being uncomfortable. They can say, I think you're undervaluing yourself here, and I think it's fear, not realism. One question to spot a great career coach: after a session, ask yourself, did this change how I see my situation, or just what I plan to do next? If it's the former, you're likely in great hands. Here is Google AI, another word for that is Gemini's, answer to the question of what differentiates the great coach from a good one. Unlocks potential, deep self-discovery, long-term transformation, unique style. Asks powerful questions, confronting limiting beliefs, fostering accountability, creating a safe space for vulnerability. Liberates, paradigm shifts, revealing innate greatness, inspiring courage to act beyond comfort. Is deeply connected, emotionally intelligent, sees your highest potential, mentors you as a whole person. Builds a self-sufficient, empowered mindset that drives continued success and fulfillment. In essence, a good coach helps you climb the ladder. A great coach helps you realize the ladder was leaning on the wrong wall and then inspires you to build your own vision. Grok's response to what differentiates the great coach from a good one: great coaches typically dominate a narrow lane, for example, mid-career women in tech returning after a break, C-suite transitions in finance, or high-achieving professionals escaping burnout in specific industries. Show clear patterns of transformation for people in situations very similar to yours, before-after narratives that mirror your exact pain points and desired outcomes, often with measurable leaps, for example 2 to 3x salary increases, dream role landings, or complete industry pivots. They can share concrete examples without breaching confidentiality. Confront limiting beliefs, blind spots, unhelpful patterns, and sometimes uncomfortable truths head-on. They often have psychology backgrounds, advanced certifications, for example ICF accredited, with thousands of coaching hours, or their own walked the talk career reinventions. They push for real growth and behavioral change, not just tactical fixes. Match or exceed your intellect. They operate like high-level strategists. They help craft a differentiated personal brand, navigate hidden job markets, position you for roles that don't yet exist, leverage sponsors and mentors powerfully, and integrate life values, money goals, and lifestyle into career architecture. Deeply know you quickly, adapt in real time, combine multiple frameworks intuitively, and ask as true thought partners. The relationship feels uniquely tailored, not scalable, cookie cutter, or low touch. Help you build a sustainable, fulfilling career trajectory, often leading to greater purpose, reduced stress, stronger confidence, and compounding professional success over years. Ultimately, the GREAT label is earned through consistent evidence of outsized impact on clients who were previously stuck or high-performing but unfulfilled. If you're choosing one, prioritize discovery calls where you can feel the difference in depth, challenge, and resonance. Chemistry and intellectual respect matter enormously. Now we turn to the second question, that of what differentiates the great from the good piano accompanist. My answer, excellent by-ear playing, not being slavishly adherent to the sheet music. Stylistically match the performer. Be subservient to the performer, loud and rich enough to be of support but not dominate. Listen, 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 and follow, being just a bit behind the performer so you can match tone, volume, and tempo. ChatGPT's response to what makes the great accompanist. The great accompanist reads micro-cues, inhalations, body movement, consonants, bow changes, vibrato shifts. Shapes time with the soloist. Elastic but coherent, never dragging or rushing the musical line. They can instantly stretch, compress, or recenter tempo without breaking the musical flow. Actively sculpts sound, adjusting voicing, touch, pedaling, and register, so the soloist's color is enhanced, not merely accommodated. They make the piano sound like an orchestra around the soloist. Knows every line, solo part, harmony, counterpoint, and structure, and understands how each moment functions musically. This allows them to lead when necessary, yield instantly when needed, highlight inner voices that support the soloist's line. Leads subtly, providing rhythmic security, harmonic direction, and expressive intent while making the soloist feel fully in control. The best accompanists make soloists feel braver and freer. Understands stylistic language deeply, articulation, rhetoric, ornamentation, pedaling traditions, and historical context. They don't just play Mozart or play jazz, they speak the dialect fluently. Reads people as well as music. They calm nervous performers, adjust rehearsal style to personality, instinctively know when to assert, reassure, or disappear. This is especially critical in vocal accompaniment. Makes mistakes musically invisible, reframing them so the audience never notices. They are unflappable. Thinks like the soloist. Great accompanists internalize the physical and expressive constraints of the other instrument or voice and shape the piano part accordingly. Google AI's response to the question of what differentiates the great from the good accompanist, and Google AI is often called Gemini, the great accompanist builds a musical narrative, developing intensity and emotion using dynamics and phrasing to support the soloist's story, not just a monotonous background. Deeply understands the soloist's role, listening intently to vowels, consonant, breaths, anticipates cues, and adjusts tempo and dynamics in real time to support them, asking as a musical mind reader. Has exceptional control over keys and pedals for nuanced sound, plus advanced skills like inversions and chord extensions to add depth, all while maintaining unwavering rhythmic stability. Expertly balances the piano's powerful sound with the soloist, making the instrument an integrated voice rather than an overpowering force, adapting to acoustics. Projects a "I'm here to help" attitude with kindness, focus, and dependability, building immediate rapport and trust, allowing the soloist to feel safe and supported. In essence, a great accompanist becomes an indispensable extension of that performer, elevating the collective musical experience. Grok's response to the question of what differentiates the great from the good accompanist. The great one has extraordinary musical radar, telepathic listening and anticipation, predicting and shaping with them in real time. Senses micro-hesitations, breaths, agogic shifts, or sudden expressive intentions before they fully happen and respond instantaneously, almost as if singing the vocal line themselves while playing their own part. Seems to become the ideal partner for that particular singer and instrumental or an instrumentalist on that day, mirroring tone color, articulation, pedaling, rubato, and character so perfectly that the two parts feel like one unified musical thought. Knows exactly when to gently lead, for example, setting mood at the beginning of a phrase, providing a subtle rhythmic anchor during uncertainty, rounding off the end of a song, and when to disappear completely into support. They never fight for control, yet the performance falls apart noticeably more often without them than with a merely competent player. Paints with an orchestral palette at the keyboard, subtle pedaling, voicing, touch gradations, and timbre shifts that match the text, mood, or timbre of the soloist, especially crucial in art song where the piano often illustrates the poetry as vivid as the voice. Is essentially a co-interpreter of the poetry or dramatic narrative. They make the piano's parts speak the words through articulation, timing, harmonic coloring, so that even instrumental collaborators feel the story is being told jointly. Creates an atmosphere of complete trust and safety so the soloist can take the greatest risks. They remain calm during disasters like memory slips, tempo crises, rescue without showing it, and never make the soloist feel small, even when they're carrying the performance. They arrive knowing the score, and often the solo part, so thoroughly that they can throw large portions of it away if the music demands it, while lesser players cling rigidly to the page. And the final question I ask them is, what differentiates the great rose hybridizer from the good one? My response was, cultivar selection is key. Too many things can make a cultivar inferior to existing varieties, so you want parents that are outstanding on many counts. Secondarily, look at parentage. Are the prospective parents packed with good genes, especially for health, a crucial factor? Few gardeners are willing to spray roses. Focus on parents that pass on desirable characteristics as a package, almost as important as rose form. If not for that classical spiral, roses have no advantage over geraniums, which are easier to care for. You must be efficient. For example, as you walk your seedling bed, enter notes on an iPad or laptop, as well as put colored toothpicks in the soil next to each plant that denote overall quality: gold, silver, and for likely culls, red. And ruthlessly cull. At the end of each season, keep no more than 1% of seedlings for further evaluation. ChatGPT's response to what differentiates the great from the good rose hybridizer: the great one has a clear aesthetic and horticultural vision. They know what they're aiming for years in advance. Great hybridizers don't just ask what might happen, but what doesn't exist yet. The great one discards almost everything. They understand that greatness comes from extreme selectivity, often keeping fewer than 1 in 1,000 seedlings, and are emotionally detached from early potential. Treats disease resistance, vigor, and longevity as foundational, not optional. They breed roses that thrive without chemical crutches and that perform across climates. Thinks in inheritance patterns, recessives, linkage, and trade-offs, even if informally. They remember lineages, track failures, and understand why a cross failed, not just that it did. Can predict how plant habit, bloom quality, and health will evolve over years, saving decades of wasted evaluation. Introduces forms, colors, habits, or fragrances that the market doesn't yet know it wants. Many great roses were initially misunderstood or slow to be adopted. Exposes them to stress, poor soil, heat, cold, disease pressure, neglect, and multiple climates. A great rose survives indifference. Releases rarely and only when the rose tells a complete story. Performance, identity, and longevity. They know that reputation is cumulative and fragile. Studies unsuccessful crosses, weak seedlings, disease-prone lines, and adjusts strategy accordingly. Failure becomes a data set. Creates useful parents. Their work influences other breeders and shapes breeding lines long after individual cultivars fade. Google AI's response to what makes the great hybridizer. A common challenge in hybridization is that genes for intense fragrance are often linked to poor disease resistance, While a good hybridizer might produce a beautiful flower that requires heavy chemical spraying, a great one, such as those from Cordis or David Austin, successfully integrates modern disease resistance with classic romantic forms and heavy scent. Great hybridizers eliminate undesirable traits early in the breeding program. This includes identifying and culling seedlings that flower themselves to exhaustion or show early signs of health failure, ensuring only the most vigorous cultivars reach the market. Great hybridizers often move beyond standard flower forms and colors to create unique aesthetics such as the English rose look, popularized by David Austin, or the high-gloss, ultra-hardy foliage of German-bred varieties. Success depends on deep knowledge of rose genetics and parent compatibility. Great hybridizers know which parents reliably pass on specific traits like high petal counts or the rare myrrh fragrance. Hybridizing is often described as a lifestyle rather than just a hobby. It can take multiple generations, a minimum of 3, to achieve positive results when working with complex species crosses to introduce new colors or improved root systems. And finally, what Grok said about what elevates the great rose hybridizers: exceptional parent intuition and eye, the absolute core difference. Great breeders develop a deep, almost instinctive understanding of what specific rose combinations are likely to click and produce something transcendent, beyond simple trait stacking. David Austin emphasized that the key to successful rose breeding is having a deep understanding and intuition for which two roses might work well together. This comes only from decades of observing thousands of seedlings and recognizing subtle genetic synergies. Ruthless selection and massive scale. Great hybridizers make and discard far more crosses and grow and evaluate vastly more seedlings, often tens of thousands, while maintaining extremely high standards. They cull 95 to 99% without sentiment. Great hybridizers keep searching for the rare seedling that excels in multiple demanding traits simultaneously. Breed for a complete garden plant: outstanding health plus replete bloom, fragrance plus beautiful form, vigor plus weather tolerance plus landscape presence and emotional impact. They aim for roses that feel inevitable once seen, roses people didn't know they needed until they appeared. Long-term obsession and patience. The process takes 9 to 15 years from pollination to market introduction. Great hybridizers sustain passion through countless disappointments, evolving their program over decades while adapting to changing priorities, for example, rising emphasis on black spot and mildew resistance, climate adaptability, and lower maintenance. Influence and legacy. Their roses don't just sell, they shift the entire rose world, becoming parents for future generations of breeders, winning major awards across climates, and remaining relevant long after introduction. Okay, so here's my summary reaction to all this. The AI advice is very, very good, although I prefer mine for their concision and their focus on what's possible for more than just the top 1/10 of 1%. But for people trying to get expert, wow, any of those AI platforms, ChatGPT, Google AI/Gemini, or Grok, will accelerate your learning, teaching you the essence of what could have required weeks or months of self-study or in a course. In any event, that is ChatGPT versus Google AI versus Grok versus me. As usual, I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. And certainly would welcome you to take a look at any of my 36 books. Perhaps most relevant to this would be Thought Experiments, but all 36 are on Amazon. In any event, I thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.